Hi, everyone. My name is Stephen Lew, and welcome to the podcast Getting Naked with Happiness. And this is episode one. Well, episode one is going to be more of introduction. So I would like to introduce myself. I am born and raised in Singapore. I have been in Singapore my entire life. I've traveled around the world looking for the meaning of happiness and also very keen and very interested in the areas that will help people to grow and flourish. I am a positive psychology coach and also a psychotherapist. I founded the School of Positive Psychology in 2007. And the School of Positive Psychology is a higher education institution that teaches the science of positive psychology and psychotherapy. We help people to transform through the science of happiness and resilience. And for that, for the past decade, I have the privilege to work with many people, extraordinary and amazing people. So, in the upcoming podcast series, I'm really excited that because I have a list of amazing people who are well-being experts and champions around the world, and many of them have compelling stories to share. And through their stories and through our conversations, we managed to distill many key ideas and philosophies and methods to create a happiness toolkit, or we can call it the Wellbeing Toolkit. And I think that having this toolkit is really very important because imagine that you have two bank accounts, and one bank account is positive emotions and experiences, and the other bank account is filled up with negative emotions and experiences. And we have these two bank accounts. I think the whole idea of having this podcast is to deposit more positive resources in the first one so that when we are held back by life challenges, we could always go back to the first one and withdraw these resources. And that will, of course, help us in our personal development, resilience, and many other areas of human performance. I have a personal story that connects with suffering and anxiety. And because of that story, it has taken me forward in years to look for the meaning of happiness. So when I was 1 year old, imagine as a baby, a family tragedy happened. Some of my family members died on my birthday and they were being murdered. Yep. And so for many years later, subsequent years later, I was growing up in a turbulent environment whereby there was a lot of grieving, a lot of pain and confusion and heartaches. And to make things worse, I didn't get to celebrate my birthdays because it was a reminder of that painful tragedy. So as growing up as a child was really difficult. I had lots of pain inside me, but I was too young to understand that I was depressed. But I grew up thinking every day and every night that why bad things happened. And I got really curious with so many questions, and I wanted to find out all the answers to these questions. So I started on a journey asking people around me about what is their definition of suffering and happiness and what have they gone through and how did they bounce back and what is the meaning of life. I have found that life only begins when you discover your meaning. I would like to quote here, the longest journey that you will ever take in your life is the trip from your heart to your mind. And it resonates a lot with me because through the years of connection and talking and learning and practicing positive psychology and psychotherapy, I am so heartened to have met so many great people who have connected their minds to their hearts and learned to bounce back from a great deal of suffering and adversities and bounce back with strengths and resilience, and now they live a fulfilling and engaging life. When I was in a dark place for so many years, I felt the pain and the layers of was being stuck in the abyss of pain and darkness. But inside that darkness, there was a bright light within me. And the bright light was the one that gave me hope. The bright light was the one that gave me faith to move on. And that bright light gave me the curiosity to heal. And I started to notice that everybody have this bright light within themselves, and that it will only shine brightly during the darkest times. So if you look up into the sky, the darkest of the skies, you could see stars illuminating with the brightest lights. And I think that every one of us is this star, and we are all shining in our own ways. And if we can band together, we will come together as constellations of stars. And our light will be able to ignite everyone else's light. So the aim and objective of this podcast is to ignite this light within ourselves and with everyone else so that we can continue to come together to build a safe place for everyone to feel safe, to get naked emotionally and mentally, to share how they overcome their pain and suffering and how they grow into these bright lights. And so now that many more people could learn, could feel supported, and could feel inspired, and know that we can all do this together. So this podcast will go out to people who are working, who are in relationships, who are looking for ways for personal development, who are stuck in a rut, maybe still suffering in darkness, that, hey, there is a group of us right here with the rest of the people, like shining, and we would like to show you and lend you the light that, hey, you have your own light, and let's come forward and join us. So with that, I welcome you to join me in the podcast. And I want to give a shout out to that if we want to create a world that is filled with respect, trust, authenticity, and happiness, it has to start with every single community, workplaces, schools, groups, and starting from you and me as an individual. And if you have any sort of questions, ideas, thoughts, or if you have a compelling story that you want to share to be featured on this podcast, and you want to come forward to share your light, I thank you in advance. And please reach out to me to do that. Do share your comments in the Facebook page, Getting Naked with Happiness, or Instagram, #Getting Naked with Happiness. So thank you everyone for listening. I wish you a life of fulfillment, strength, and light. Thank you.